On 7 today, we're right around Royal Randwick, as you would expect. Little Sydney again today, Steward's Room in the way, and we can see Pete waiting there. And as we go to the Theatre of the Horse, it's a very warm welcome, a good afternoon to Simon Marshall and Francesca Cumani.
Thank you, Bruce. It's an absolutely stunning day here, perfect racing conditions. And what better way to kick off the new look Queen Elizabeth Stakes than with a runner owned by Her Majesty the Queen herself. There are 6 races around the world named after her, and the Queen Elizabeth has yet to win one of them. Her horse Carlton House finished 4th in the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes at Ascot only 6 starts ago, and he's taken a little while to find his feet here in Australia, but he's peaking just at the right time. And wouldn't it be a dream result for Gay Waterhouse, for Tommy Berry, and of course for Her Majesty, who celebrates a birthday on Monday?
Well, happy birthday, Your Majesty, and wouldn't it be a right royal shindig if he did happen to get up Carlton House? But I get excited when I talk about the world's richest thoroughbred races. The Dubai World Cup's 10 million, it's number 1 on the list. Then you've got the mighty Melbourne Cup from Australia at 6.2. Then you've got the Japan Cup and the Arc that round out the top 4. And today's inaugural Queen Elizabeth sneaks into the top 10. Well done to the ATC. They've built the right race here over a mile and a quarter. The best mile and a quarter horses, 12 of them, 9 Group 1 winners. And today's winner just might end up this year's Horse of the Year.
Good.
Winning. She is all about the understanding of every hoop and every drop.
You feel, Jessica, like everything's in place for a royal victory today, don't you? I mean, all the omens are right.
You really do. And I think what they said there is that the Queen absolutely adores her racing. She loves the horses and the people involved. She loves nothing better than sitting around and talking to everybody that's really involved in the sport. And for her to have a winner today would be an absolute dream. And to see her colours win here would be great for the championships as well.
Well, John Massara, head of New South Wales Racing, thinks the same thing in many ways. So he's in this, and Cheska, you've got your eyes on Fast and Rocking. He was 5th in a Golden Slipper. He's been a good horse, but he doesn't win often.
Well, exactly. He's only won once, but that race that he won was a Group 3. It was also on dead ground, remember? And for having won that race, he has to carry 3 kilograms more than any other horse in this race. But don't forget, he's been running in a higher quality of race, so he's dropping down a level, which will be a big advantage. He looks brilliant in the paddock. He's got his winkers on, and he's got just the tongue tied to keep his tongue in position. Suit him. He tends to kind of sit back and come late, and just physically looking at him in the paddock, he's got a little bit of a belly on him, so I think probably the fitter he gets, the better he's going to go, but I think he's got a decent chance today.
So Woodbine there for Tommy Berry and Gay Waterhouse. Simon, certainly something for the spring. So what are your impressions so far today in terms of the way the track's playing out and the way the racing's going?
I think it's going to be interesting. Well, like we saw just there, the leader winning so convincingly, and especially when it comes to the Queen Elizabeth, from everything you hear, it sounds like Carlton House is going to go to the front, and it could really, I mean, we saw him nearly win the Randvet doing that. He only just got caught a lip by Silent Achiever, so it'd be interesting to see.
Well, let's see how the track's playing out with Jockey Cam, because we're going to go with Jockey Cam with
A couple of seconds outside the record. It's the track has improved, and they made a decision to push the rail out to 6 metres, which we spoke about, because the ground was better there. So well done to the team here at the ATC. That's terrific. We were just watching Fast and Rocking, just getting on the back of Longmar there, and he obviously got his
pretty fresh. I've liked what we've seen out of her, Cheska. You look a bit. It looks a bit tight there. Are you okay?
I need the eyes on the back of my head here in the ranting yard. No, she looks in absolutely brilliant condition. She's a lovely, big, rangy filly. I remember I saw her being very impressed by that win of hers first time out at Melbourne. Then she came up here and she's run well for no placings yet.
Amicus was impressive. It's a step up, but you can only win, and it bolted in. And she absolutely walked in, didn't she, last start?
She did, and what I really like about her is the amount that she improved between her first race and her second race. She's really come on leaps and bounds, and I know it's a step up again today, but I think she's definitely going in the right direction. She's a lovely looking filly with a great strong hindquarters, and she's got the man in form, Huey Bowman, on her today.
Those guys that he lights you up when you talk to him. He's full of verve and also enthusiasm.
Besides what work every horse does every morning, but how does he relay that to the jockey? Well, he talks in seconds per furlong. A furlong is 200 metres. A standard workout would be, say, 5 furlongs or a kilometre, and they'll go 15 seconds to the furlong for 3 furlongs, then 13, and then 12. That's a standard workout. How does a jockey keep time? It's with this little device here. Turn it on, beeps every second, so you can count 1, 2, 3, and get up to 15 seconds per furlong, and then quicken up to 13, and then 12. It's a crucial bit of gear because I can tell you from experience, if you get it wrong, even by half a second, you'll be in the trainer's bad books for a while. Winkers off him and put the winkers on, which for a horse that possibly needs to be concentrated in his races is an interesting move, but I think they think he's very well placed in this race, and I've got to tell you, in the paddock he looks an absolute picture. His coat is gleaming and he's just a lovely big strong horse to look at. Really heavy track that day and absolute pouring rain. He seemed to relish the conditions. I think it's a little bit of a step up in grade today, but the Connections have had to pay a late entry fee, so they're not here just for the fun of it. He's not the biggest horse to look at in the mountain yard, but he looks in good condition.
Championship's got off to a brilliant start last week, didn't it? And that was good stuff.
And then the lid comes off, and you know, you can tell.
He's a busy man, Richard, that's for sure. Well, he's got Red Tracer and Catkins in our very next race, the first of the Group 1s on Championship Day. It's the Queen of the Turf. One, but we feel she's ready, Francesca. She is so consistent.
Yes, could today be her day? Like you said, so consistent. Of her 21 starts, she's won half of them. She's the kind of mare you would love to own. Interestingly, she's got the blinkers off today because 1600 is probably the extent of as far as she wants to go, and the winkers are just a little bit less aggressive, so hopefully she'll settle a bit better in the run. She's got a good barrier. I could see her right up on the pace. What's very special about her is that she's got a great turn of foot which she can deploy when she needs it. Looking at her in the yard, she's not the biggest, most robust filly. She's quite light and quite flighty looking, but she looks fully wound up for the race today. I think she's got a decent chance. Big, rangy kind of filly, and yeah, I think James McDonald looks pretty happy and quite confident.
And Simon
Meters from the 2000 is going to really suit her because she looks like a filly that relaxes really nicely in the race. She just drops her head and bowls along. Yeah, she's not particularly big. She doesn't really catch your eye more than any of the others, but what she did in the Vinery, you can't ignore that, and I think she's the worthy favourite. It feels like she would have come on a lot for that run. And looking at her in the mountain yard, she's exactly what you imagine a stayer to look like. She's kind of tall, rangy. She is quite narrow, which I don't love, but she'll probably fill out in the future. And she did work over a mile here at Randwick with Zambar early on the week, which I think Connections were very pleased with the gallop distance. And looking at her in the mountain yard, she's very calm, and again, real staying type, long, leggy, rangy. She just got the shadow roll there to keep her head down and just help her focus on the job in hand. It's a fascinating subject. There's actually a lot to know about it. I spent a bit of time with Tom and a little bit of time with Moody's physio in Melbourne, and they just know so much about the horse that we can't see, and also because horses can't talk, it's hard to know what's actually going on in there.
I think Carlton House was talking then. I think that's his
point. By 6 lengths. Looking at her in the paddock, she's not the biggest of fillies, and she looks in pretty good condition, but I think Connections were disappointed with her run in the BMW, and look, really, statistics say it's going to be very hard for her to win here.
Does that worry you at all, Francesca?
Well, on his Irish form, he was a real mudlark, and his wins here have been in the really wet ground, and as you say, the conditions aren't quite the same today, but he is ridiculously well placed in this race. He's having to give less weight away to a lot of horses he met last time out, and I just love his racing style. He tends to relax well in the run, sometimes hits a bit of a flat spot, but then he can really rattle home with a good turn of foot. In my opinion, he will struggle over this distance. We saw him last time out over a mile and a half, and he didn't really finish off well. He's much better over 2,000. He has got a bit of gear on. He's got the ear muff just to keep him nice and calm, and the Norton bit, which is quite strong, so it gives the jockey a bit more strength and can hopefully settle him better in the running.
Last year, Francesca, he's been 5th in 2 Adelaide Cups. He's a grand old horse.
He is a grand old horse, and he's one of only 3 who's proven at the distance, but this is quite a big ask, and looking at him in the mountain yard, I'd say probably his best days are behind him.
Great stuff with Tommy and Gay there, and Pete. A terrific interview. Carlton House in the next. I mean, you just feel like it's all coming together. You feel like, don't you? I mean, the omens are there.
The timing does lend itself to thinking he might be in with a real chance. And
win that in 3,200 metre Group 1 Cup.
I think you'll need a turn of foot in this race. I think it'll be tactical.
Quite far back in the BMW, didn't he? And then he really came with a good, strong finish.
He's got that lovely turn of foot. The queen of racing.
And he looks an absolute picture. I can tell you he's round, he's muscled, lovely gleam on his coat. I know they've had issues with his feet in the past, but they look absolutely in perfect condition. He hasn't had that many races here in Australia, but his last start, second in the Randvet, just nailed on the line by Silent Achiever. That was a really good performance, and he's likely to sit prominent here today, which I think if he gets an easy lead, he's right in it. He is, as you can see, on his toes. The girls are keen to keep him walking. it would be a dream result for his connections if he was to win today, and I think he would probably retire to stud on the back of it. He hasn't. He looks in great condition in the yard. He's a stunning-looking horse. He probably should have won his last two. And McAvoy, obviously, he thinks you've got to be in it to win it, and he described the price of the horse in the betting just as rude. He obviously is pretty confident. Oh, it's a done deal. Is really doing laps of the mountain yard here.
What's he up to, Francesca?
Well, the girls are obviously keen to keep him walking, and because there are quite a few horses,
Okay.
not much room here, he's just doing laps on the inside of the others.
Okay,
It's in 3 Group 3s this season, and looking at her, she looks like a mare that takes a bit of work to get fit. She's had quite a few runs this prep, yet she still looks quite burly. So if she's come on for those runs, it'll be a big help to her. Her wins have been over further, so she's going to want a strong pace on here today.
His other runner, Francesca, this is a beautifully bred Shamika. The mother was a Group 1 winning mare by Fastnet Rock, this one.
You stole my line, Bruce. Yes,
Oh,
triple group 1 winning mare. She's an interesting one. She has been leading quite a lot in her races, and last time out she went far too fast and couldn't really finish off. I think
He was really playing up before the race. It's a done deal. He had the slip, and he was a hard horse to handle, wasn't he?
Well, exactly. That's why Richard jumped off him, because he was worried about his pre-race antics. Well, yes, it's obviously not ideal, but the vets passed him clear, and it wasn't a big issue. But the horse was really keen to get on with it, wasn't he?
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the Nathan Berry medal very, very shortly from Royal Randwick on Championships Day. 500 people here today, and just some brilliant racing, and the richest race ever run in New South Wales. What was your take on it, Simon?
I thought it's just sent the precedent.
And Melbourne's unique because of its timing. No football around Melbourne, and they have a thing called the Melbourne Cup. But we do have what might be now the 5th major in Australian racing to join the Caulfield Cup, the Cox Plate, the Golden Slipper, and the Melbourne Cup with the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. It couldn't have got off to a better start. Next week on Saturday afternoon, there are 4 Group 1 races we're covering. 2 from here, the All-Age Stakes and also the Champagne Stakes. And we're going to Adelaide for 2 Group 1s, the Robert Sangster and the Oaks in Adelaide, and then also to Victoria as well. So it should be terrific. Look, a brilliant day. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Richard. And thank you to Francesca. Pete just tells us Chad Schofield out for 10 meetings, but he can ride next week. Pete, forever working there. It's been a fabulous day, one to remember. Great for Tommy Berry, James McDonald, and for Gay Waterhouse.